Amanda Johnson, and this is my EED 678 presentation, my personal inquiry. It was on the CPS pulse clickers in the elementary classroom, how to effectively integrate those into the math curriculum. And for this class, we had to come up with some kind of technology to integrate into the classroom. It could be anything, and I chose clickers, and the reason I did, this summer I had a class, and there was a man from Muscle Shoals Middle School, and he used clickers every day in his classes. He was the math teacher, and he uses them for tests, everything. And I had never seen them before, and it really interested me, so that's why I wanted to do this. I knew that Cherokee had the technology, and I wanted to try it too. So I thought that would be perfect for my wondering. So in the literature review, I found that increased use of the clickers in the elementary classroom, the feedback, it helped increase student knowledge because it was quick. You could tell if the students knew what you were talking about, or you could say, well, we need to stop, we need to reteach. That was one benefit. They motivated students, and I could tell the students in here were very motivated. They were excited to use them. I think they think it's a game that's fun for them. And the literature review that I conducted said that a lot of times you have higher class attendance because students are motivated to want to come use them. Come to class, use them. And they said that students are more attentive during the lesson when clickers are used. And students are more willing to participate. They have to if you use clickers. So then I came up with 3 different wonderings. They're kind of small, so you may not can see them. But the first one is, I wondered how long or how many times, how many questions you should use during a lesson with the clickers. And I wondered if the clickers aided the teacher in quickly identifying students that were struggling. And I wanted to know if the clickers helped improve math scores. So with all of that, I implemented the study, came in during a whole 6 weeks, observed Ms. Rickman for a week or so, and then I started using the clickers and other technologies. And what I found with the best use of time with them, I used them one lesson the whole time and found that really wasn't the best use because the kids were, sometimes they would just start putting in answers to be first, and then the other kids would be bored. So I really think the best way to use the clickers is about 10 minutes or maybe just about 5 questions, and that way you can focus on just whatever your topic is. You're not covering a wide range of things with them. And then you can pull up your results and let the kids see. They like to see how many got it right and how many got it wrong. And on that same note, I never did a report where you could see, oh, well, student 1 missed it, and here's student 1. Nobody knew except for that student if they got it wrong, because it was just all by numbers. So on the second wondering, I wanted to know if it helped identify struggling students quicker. You know, if you're up here teaching and you're not using the clickers, you don't know until you grade their independent practice or you walk around. I wondered if the clickers, if you could look at the results and immediately see if someone was having trouble, if you could stop and how that would impact that. I found that they did, but usually in the class, when I was in here, it was maybe just 2 or 3. And you don't want to stop the whole lesson for 2 or 3 kids. It would be better to pull them to a small group later and reteach or find out just exactly where the problem is. And I also found, too, there were several times when we used the clickers, the students, through the middle of the lesson, would say, oh, I've got the wrong number. I've got so-and-so's. Well, if they all have the wrong number and you're printing out results, well, you don't have the correct results for that child. That was very important. So that was another thing to make sure of. The third one, did it increase test scores? Yes, during that 6 weeks, there was about a 5% increase. But I think there are more factors that came into play way other than the clickers. Miss Rickman and I both were teaching. Of course, she was teaching more than I was, but there were two of us here. And the content changed. It went from adding and subtracting 3-digit numbers to multiplication. So the content might have been a little bit easier for the students. They might have understood it more. And two, not only did we just use the clickers, we used the Mobies and the interactive whiteboard, the Mimeo. So it may not have been just the clickers that caused the increase. It could have been other things, but I'd like to think that they did play a role in that. And I gave the students a survey to see if they enjoyed the clickers, if they liked them, and every student said yes. I think they were very enthusiastic about using them. So in conclusion, I found out that you always need to be prepared. You know this, as being teachers, you have to be prepared. If this doesn't work, well then you've just got to put that aside and go on to something else. And luckily this classroom had the clickers, had the Mimeo, and had the Mobies. And so I could just say, okay, the clicker's not working today, we'll just go with the Mimeo, or we'll do this. And it worked out just fine. So a lot of times the lesson I thought I would use and the technology I thought I would use, I didn't. I used something else, or maybe we went on to something else. And as a result of my personal inquiry, I think that clickers are probably best used for review, or maybe just to reinforce concepts, maybe to, if you're teaching a lesson again, maybe in a different way, to use them then, or maybe just for more practice. I don't think you should really use them when you're introducing something difficult, a concept that's difficult, or new things. I think it needs to be just for reinforcement. And really, I found that clickers, it's hard to get a high-level question with clickers. You can do it, but you really have to be creative, and you really have to think about what you're doing. It has to be more like a word problem, and maybe they enter the answer. So that's one problem I did find with the clickers. And then these are just some of the pictures. Well, that was pictures. Let me see if I can get them. The kids using the clickers. I think they really enjoyed it. And they would ask when I came in, are we going to use the clickers? You can't see that one. But we had a good time with them, and I think it really is something worthwhile to do. That's the end of my presentation. Does anyone have any questions? Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Thank you.